The sun has long dipped below the horizon, leaving only the hush of twilight in its place. The breeze moves slowly tonight, barely stirring the folds of the curtain or the warm scent of oil lamps burning low in their bowls. Somewhere, a door creaks open, then closed again. A soft clink of pottery. Then silence. The kind of silence that settles. Not with emptiness, but with weight. The kind of silence that cradles you. That says you can let go now. Nothing more to do. No reason to hold anything up anymore. You lie still, cocooned in the slow dark of evening. The air feels gentle on your skin. Every breath is a little softer than the one before. Around you, the world breathes too. Inhale, exhale. The sky has turned to velvet, and the stars have found their places. You don't need to think of the stars, but they are there, quiet and old, watching, not speaking, far away, and also long ago, before glass windows, before books with pages, before metal coins. There was a land between two rivers. It was a place of water and dust, of reeds and stone. It was hot during the day, but at night, like now, the air cooled and stilled. People lived there, many people, and among them, a man rose, a man with a beard shaped like the horns of a ram. A king who looked at his land and wanted to bring it order. His name was Hammurabi, but there is no need to rush toward him just yet. We are only drifting. We are only following the current of time. There is no hurry. We begin not with stone or log, but with wind, with firelight on clay walls, with the slow turning of the earth beneath ancient feet. And so you breathe, and the story begins to wrap around you like a soft cloth. Woven not with urgency, but with sleep. The world that waits is older than writing, and yet it is where writing was born. It is older than kings, but it is where kings were first crowned. You are welcome there. You are already on your way. The world is made of water and dust. It is early morning, thousands of years ago, though time itself moves like a slow river, curling around corners you cannot see. The air is warm but not yet heavy. In the east, the sky begins to change, from deep purple to soft rose, and then to pale gold. Two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, run through the land like blue veins in sunburnt skin. Between them lies the kingdom of Babylonia. It is not silent, but it is still. Along the banks of the rivers, reeds sway gently, their tips brushing one another like a whisper. Birds call low, as if reminding the world it is waking. But not too fast. The breeze carries the smell of wet clay and distant fires. A farmer's ox stirs in its pen, stretching its thick neck. A small dog turns in circles before settling into a ball again. Somewhere, the first hand stirs a pot of barley. Someone begins to grind flour. The world is not loud, but it is moving. The houses are made of sun-dried bricks, square and solid, their edges soft with time. Their walls remember the fingers that shaped them, long ago, when the mud was still wet and the sun was high overhead. Roofs are flat, people walk along them slowly, sometimes pausing to look down over the quiet city. The streets narrow like the veins of a leaf. In the distance, a ziggurat rises from the earth, its steps wide, its presence steady. It does not reach the sky, but it tries. Babylon is not yet the empire it will become, but it is already alive. The market has not yet opened, but it will. It always does. Merchants will unroll their rugs and spread out their copper, their dates, their painted bowls. Scribes will sit cross-legged on mats, ready to copy ledgers in careful cuneiform. But for now, the city is only breathing. The hush before the day begins. The people of this land live close to the soil. They grow barley and flax, herd goats and sheep. They believe in gods who walk among them, unseen but near. Every stone has a name. Every shadow might be watching. The sky is filled with signs, and dreams carry messages if you learn how to listen. There is fear here, sometimes, but more often there is rhythm. Life that comes in patterns. Rise, eat, work, rest, plant, wait, harvest, store. The wheel turns slowly, and each turn looks much like the last. There are no clocks, but the sun knows what to do. It climbs the sky without rushing, casting shadows that stretch like fingers across the baked earth. Time passes not in seconds but in seasons. The flooding of the rivers, the planting of the seed, the swelling of the date palm, the hum of bees near a fig tree. A mother wrapping her child in linen. A pot left to dry in the sun. Laws exist, but most are known by heart. They are spoken, remembered, shared, but that is beginning to change. In the palace, something new is being shaped. Something written, carved into black stone with symbols that look like bird tracks and reeds. It is not just a list. It is an idea, that rules can live beyond memory. That justice can be given shape. That a king's voice can speak, even when he is far away. That king is Hammurabi. He lives in a grand house. But he walks among his people. He listens. He watches. He sees how one man cheats another. How a debt goes unpaid. How a field is stolen. How a worker is hurt. And he begins to wonder how to shape a world where fairness is not a hope but a structure. He begins to write. But all of this is still forming. Like the mist over the river at dawn. The code is not yet complete. The laws are still being polished. The chisel still warm from the hand of the carver. We are still in the soft morning of this world. And all we need to do is drift along its surface. Let the city rise slowly. Let the breeze pass by your cheek. Let the stones of Babylon warm in the sun and let your breath fall into the rhythm of the land between two rivers. His name is Amat-Marduk, and he wakes before the light. The room is still dim, lit only by the fading coals in the small hearth near the door. The woven mat beneath him is soft from years of use. He stretches, slowly, like someone who has done this 1,000 times before. Because he has. His joints click quietly. His breath is deep and low. There is no need to hurry. The day will wait for him. He stands and rolls up the mat. He folds the linen cloth he used as a blanket and places it in a carved wooden chest. Smoothed by countless hands over many seasons. The floor is cool beneath his feet. His home is a single room with thick mud brick walls. One window, high and small. A niche holds oil lamps. A jug of water leans against the far wall. Another shelf cradles dried herbs wrapped in twine. Amat-Marduk is a scribe. Not the highest kind. Not the kind who works inside the palace. But a humble one. He copies records, contracts, trades. He knows the wedge marks of cuneiform better than the lines in his own palms. His fingers are often stained with clay and dust. They crack at the tips. He rubs them with oil in the evenings, always hoping the dryness will pass. It never does. He dresses slowly, a simple tunic of undyed wool, a leather strap for his waist. He places a seal around his neck, a small cylinder carved with the symbol of his family, nothing grand. Just a sheaf of barley beside a bird in flight. The seal is old, his father's. Before that, his grandfather's. He has never been without it. Outside, the city is yawning into motion. The lowing of animals echoes through the alleys. A boy runs by, barefoot and laughing. A woman sings softly as she sweeps dust from her doorstep. Somewhere, a copper pot clatters onto stone. Smoke begins to rise from hearths, and the scent of baking flatbread drifts through the streets. Amat-Marduk walks slowly. His sandals flap softly on the packed dirt road. He greets his neighbor, an old man mending a fishing net. The man nods. No words are needed. They've known each other since they were boys. Time does not change everything. His workroom is tucked behind a small temple. It smells of clay and smoke and oil. Shelves hold stacks of tablets, all labeled and placed with care. A reed stylus rests where he left it. He lights a lamp, not because it is dark, but because the flickering makes him feel calm. He begins to write. A transaction, a land agreement, a record of livestock. The clay is soft, but not too soft. The stylus presses into it with gentle firmness, leaving behind the story of someone else's day. He works slowly, without rush. He pauses often, sometimes to rest his hand, sometimes just to breathe. The window beside him lets in the sound of birds and voices. He hears the prayers being murmured at the altar nearby. He hears the footsteps of children chasing each other in the dust. The world continues around him, but he remains still. At midday, he stops for a meal. A piece of bread, a handful of dried figs, a sip of watered beer. He eats alone but never feels lonely. The sun is hot now. Its light rests on the white walls, making them glow. He wipes his forehead with a cloth and steps outside for a moment, just to feel the wind on his face. It is dry, but not harsh. It carries the scent of river reeds and something sweet he cannot quite name. In the afternoon, he meets a woman who needs help writing a petition. Her voice trembles. She has been wronged, though gently. A debt misunderstood. A goat that vanished. He listens carefully, shapes her words, arranges them just so. She presses her seal into the soft clay. He tells her to take it to the temple hall. She thanks him. Quietly, she leaves with her shoulders a little higher. By evening, his fingers ache. The lamp is low again. He stacks his tablets with care, wraps his tools in cloth, and steps out into the orange light of dusk. The sky is brushed with color. The street is quieter now. Smoke rises in thin lines. A child sings to a doll made of twigs and string. Somewhere, a flute is playing. He walks home. His door closes softly behind him. The day is done. He eats a bowl of lentils. He washes his hands. He sits on the floor and rubs his palms with oil again. Outside, the stars are beginning to appear. He lies down on his mat. He does not dream of greatness. He dreams of ink and clay and quiet mornings. He dreams of nothing at all. The world turns gently around him. And he sleeps. The morning begins like any other, with the pale light slipping between the roof beams and the warmth of the hearth slowly waking the walls. Amat-Marduk is already awake, sitting with his legs folded beneath him, pressing the pads of his fingers gently together. Today, his task is different. A tablet needs to be delivered to the shrine near Sapar, a half-day's walk north of Babylon. It is a quiet task, one he accepts without question. He places the small clay tablet into a pouch, ties the flap shut, and tucks it into the folds of his robe. It is not large, not heavy. Its message is simple, a record of grain owed to the priests. But still, it must arrive, not urgently, just surely. Things in Babylonia rarely move fast, and that is how it should be. The city is waking as he begins his journey. The narrow streets hum with soft activity. Someone calls to a neighbor across a courtyard. A jar tips, spilling water that runs briefly before sinking into the dry earth. A hen flaps its wings and settles again. He passes the ziggurat as its shadow stretches across the city like a blanket. He lowers his head slightly, not in worship, but in habit. It is a familiar presence. At the city gate, the guards nod. He is known. They do not ask where he is going. There is no need. The road beyond is old, worn smooth by sandals and carts. It winds through fields where barley ripens in the sun and goats graze near muddy canals. The air smells faintly of smoke, grain, and wild herbs. Above, the sky is wide and clear, the color of faded linen. He walks with even steps, not hurried, not slow. His feet know the way. He passes workers in the fields, bending low with sickles, their backs curved like question marks against the land. A boy waves from behind a tree. Amat-Marduk lifts his hand in return. They do not speak. They do not need to. The world is still. A small breeze rises, stirring the reeds along the canal. Water trickles past, catching the light like liquid glass. He stops to drink, kneeling beside the bank. The water is warm, but clean. He wipes his mouth and stands again. A bird rises suddenly from the grasses and wheels overhead before vanishing into the distance. The road narrows as it nears the outer fields. Here the land feels wilder. Clusters of date palms sway gently, their fronds rustling like distant whispers. The dust softens under his steps. He hears the buzz of insects, the occasional cry of a heron. But mostly, he hears the wind, weaving through branches, pressing against his robes like a gentle hand. By midday, the shrine appears, a low building of whitewashed brick, set on a rise above a curve in the river. Smoke curls from its roof. A quiet place. Two figures sit near the entrance, heads bowed over a pot. One looks up and smiles. Amat-Marduk returns the smile with a nod. He enters and removes his sandals. The floor is cool. A priest greets him with the rhythm of someone who has done so 1,000 times. Their voices are low. The exchange is brief. He removes the tablet and hands it over. The priest examines it, then sets it gently on a woven mat. They speak of the weather, of how the river is lower than last year, of how the reeds are drying too soon. There is no complaint in their tone, just noticing. He is invited to sit and eat. They share bread and a stew of lentils and onion. It is simple, filling. They eat in silence, watching the sun hang overhead, watching a lizard dart across the floor. Afterward, he washes his hands in a shallow basin and stands again. The return journey is even quieter. The breeze has softened, but it still plays with his robe, lifting its edge with care. Shadows stretch longer across the path. He walks without thought. The road remembers him. The same fields pass him in reverse. The same boy still watches from behind the tree. The same goats bleat from behind a fence. He stops once more by the canal, just to watch the water. He does not drink. He only listens. A dragonfly hovers near his shoulder, then darts away. He does not follow it with his eyes. He only breathes. By the time he reaches the gate, the sun has begun to sink. The guards nod again. One offers him a fig. He takes it, eats it slowly as he walks home. The streets are dimmer now, painted with the orange of the setting sun. Oil lamps flicker behind doorways. The city exhales, as if tired. He reaches his door, opens it, closes it. The room is as he left it. Quiet, warm, still. He sets the pouch aside. There is no celebration for a task done well. Only the feeling of something simple completed. A breath released. A circle closed. Outside, the city prepares for night. Inside, Amat-Marduk prepares for sleep. The air is soft with evening. Not cold, not warm, just enough to notice. The sun has slipped low, and the edges of everything are turning gold. Then gray, then blue. Shadows lengthen and lose their shape, blurring into the ground. The sounds of the city have faded to a murmur, and even the dogs bark less now. A hush is settling, as if Babylon itself is beginning to fall asleep. Amat-Marduk stands outside his door for a moment longer. The fig was sweet, but his fingers are still sticky. He wipes them on a cloth tied to the lintel. Above him, the sky is deepening. One star appears, then another. Slowly, without fanfare, they take their places. He steps inside. The room greets him with its usual stillness. Familiar, undemanding. A low flame flickers in a clay lamp, casting golden shapes that bend and dance on the walls. He unties his sash, removes his seal, folds his robe. He moves slowly, not because he is tired, but because there is no longer any reason to move quickly. The world is slowing, and he moves with it. He rinses his hands with water from the jug, pouring it over his fingers with care. The water splashes into the basin with a soft patter, then stills. He dries his hands on linen, places the basin back in its place. Every motion is quiet. Every sound feels smaller, as though made from breath instead of voice. Dinner is simple, a bowl of lentils left over from the day before. He warms it over the coals and eats it slowly, chewing each bite without thinking. His jaw moves in rhythm with the flicker of the lamp. The room grows darker. The stew is not hot, but it is enough. After he eats, he picks up the small bundle of tools he used earlier, the stylus, the cloth, the little wedge of wood, and unwraps them just to feel them in his hands. Not to use, just to hold. Then he wraps them again and places them on the shelf. He lies down, not all at once, but in stages. First, he folds the mat and lays it gently on the floor. Then the linen, then the cushion beneath his head. He stretches his legs and feels the cool of the floor seep through the mat. He closes his eyes, opens them again, watches the patterns the lamp makes on the ceiling, closes his eyes once more. Outside, the city has gone quiet. The merchants have closed their stalls. The animals are in their pens. The temple steps are empty. The river moves without sound. Only the night remains. Inside, Amat-Marduk begins to drift. His thoughts come slower now. They pass like clouds without edges. He does not follow them. He only watches them fade. He thinks of the fields, the canal, the boy by the tree. He thinks of the seal he wears around his neck, now resting beside him. He does not think of kings, or codes, or justice carved into stone. He does not think of words. He only feels the quiet, the deep, slow breath of a city going to sleep. His chest rises, falls, rises again. The lamp begins to dim, not all at once, but gently, as if the oil itself is getting sleepy. The shadows soften into one another. The room becomes colorless. The world becomes warm. A single breeze slips through the window, moves across the floor, then vanishes again. There are no dreams yet. Only the weightlessness that comes before them. Only stillness. And in that stillness, Amat-Marduk closes his eyes. The flame has gone out. Not with a flicker, not with a sound, just a quiet disappearance, as if it had never been. The room is full of darkness now. But it is not heavy. It is soft, like a blanket laid over the corners of the world. The shadows are no longer shadows. They are simply part of the night. Amat-Marduk lies still. His body remembers how to rest. His arms by his sides. His breath slow and deep. The silence wraps around him. Not in emptiness, but in presence. The walls do not speak. Yet they hold him. The floor does not move. Yet it carries him. The world does not vanish, it simply fades. Somewhere, outside the city, the river is still flowing. Its surface catches the moonlight like a whisper. Reeds bow gently in the water's pull. The wind moves through them, brushing their stems, never in haste. Nothing is in haste. Even the stars above do not rush to cross the sky. They stay where they are, blinking slowly, like eyes half closed with sleep. A dog shifts in its dreams. A baby murmurs. A wooden shutter creaks. But all of it is far away now. The city is sinking into silence, as if it is breathing beneath a warm tide. The temples are quiet. The streets are empty. The ziggurat reaches upward, but even it seems to rest now, pressing its weight into the night. And in the small room with the clay walls and the smooth floor, Amat-Marduk has passed beyond waking. His breath still comes and goes, but it is no longer shaped by thought. It is just breath, just the movement of life settling into its slowest rhythm. There is no beginning here, no ending either, only a space without questions. The smell of dust and linen, the last warmth of the sun still clinging to the stone, the memory of birds, the sound of wind, the soft, distant echo of words once carved into stone, now forgotten, now sleeping. He dreams, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe the dream is only the feeling of being held by the earth. Maybe the dream is the breeze against his cheek, or the river, still flowing, and as the night deepens, as the breath slows, as the world darkens further still, all things become quiet. The clay cools, the stars blink slower, the laws, the kings, the people, they are all part of the same hush now. There are no lines, no names, just stillness.